Millions of poor South Africans do not have proper access to the internet. In a recent study, it was even found that less than 14% of this country's people have access to any reliable home internet connections, one of the lowest in the entire world. But yet, the South African government seems absolutely determined to keep it this way. But does it not care for the citizens of this country? Does it not want people's lives to improve through increased internet access? Stay tuned, because in today's video, we'll uncover one of the hidden reasons why the ANC does not want Starlink in South Africa. One of the key ways in which the radically discriminatory policies of the South African government have been exposed to the world recently is because of the wealthiest man on the planet, which happens to be a South African expatriate who is not afraid of speaking up about the atrocities that the ANC has been committing for decades now in his home country. Over the past 12 months, Elon Musk has been especially vocal, emboldened to speak up against the radically discriminatory laws in South Africa on the world stage. Take a look at this.
Bloomberg broke news today that the South African government is working around the rules on black ownership in order to allow Starlink in, and that is being done on the eve of the visit that President Ramaphosa is going to make to the White House. Do you recognize that as a conflict of interest?
No, of course not. First of all, you should be questioning why are there racist laws in South Africa? That's the first problem. That's what you should be attacking. It's improper for there to be racist laws in South Africa. The whole idea with what Nelson Mandela, who was a great man, proposed was that all races should be on an equal footing in South Africa. That's the right thing to do, not to replace one set of racist laws with another set of racist laws, which is utterly wrong and improper. So that's the deal, that all races should be treated equally, and there should be no preference given to one or the other. Whereas there are now 140 laws in South Africa that give that basically give strong preference to if you're a black South African, and not otherwise. And so now I'm in this absurd situation where I was born in South Africa but cannot get a license to operate in Starlink because I'm not black.
Well, it looks like that's about looks like that's about to change.
I just asked you a question. Please answer. Does that seem right to you?
Well, those rules were designed to bring those rules were designed to bring about an era of more economic equality in South Africa, and it looks like the government has found a way around those rules for you.
I asked you a question.
This is your interview. Everyone wants to hear from you.
I asked you a question. Yes or no?
Not for me.
Laws, yes or no?
Not for me to answer.
Musk has also not hesitated to call out President Cyril Ramaphosa himself for what he describes as South Africa's openly racist ownership laws, referring of course to the BEE ownership regulations in this country, something we've covered extensively on this channel. The ANC and its ideological allies have also recently intensified their opposition towards Starlink's entry in South Africa, specifically citing Musk's opposition to the country's oppressive law system. Yet, the hatred and envy of white people is only part of the reason why the ANC has refused to grant Starlink a license in South Africa. The other reason, which is far more obvious, has everything to do with keeping their own political power. You see, the ANC initially came to power back in 1994 as the liberation movement of this country, fighting the struggle against apartheid. Nelson Mandela was the icon around which black people in this country united, having been a symbol of resistance against the white political power in this country for multiple decades. The black masses of this country rallied behind this narrative of liberation, and this allowed the ANC to govern with an outright majority for decades. Even when Julius Malema's EFF was founded in 2013 to become the first party to make any dent in the ANC's black voter base, this did not stop the ANC from still gaining almost 60% of the vote in 2019. The 2024 general election changed everything for the ANC, however. It is not only losing its majority, but it dropped to 40% of the national vote. But it's not just that the ANC have lost support locally under the leadership of Ramaphosa, they have also increasingly isolated themselves on the international stage, which is where the ANC's real strength historically always lay. The world is turning against the ANC in South Africa. A few years ago, it was only a handful of minor far-right European political parties that would dare to publicly criticize the party of Nelson Mandela, but now opposition to the ANC has become mainstream in most European countries and especially the United States of America. During last year's G20 meeting, it was not only the United States but also Argentina who withdrew in protest of the ANC's tyrannical domestic and suicidal foreign policies. Ironically, Ramaphosa responded to the fiasco by laughably claiming that boycott politics never works for anyone. One wonders how he thinks his own party came into power in the first place. It most certainly wasn't because the National Party feared the ANC. They didn't. What the National Party, or at least many of its members or supporters, feared was the ever-increasing isolation from our Western partners. And this is largely what motivated nearly 70% of white South Africans to vote for a new dispensation in which the ANC would inevitably come to power in this country. For Ramaphosa to pretend then that countries such as the United States, Argentina and Taiwan that are openly turning against the ANC does not affect them is just blatant hypocrisy or extreme stupidity. The reality is that the ANC is absolutely frightened at the tide that is currently turning on the international stage. For years they were able to maintain the so-called moral high ground by simply riding on the capital built up around the figure or the iconic mythology of Nelson Mandela, but this is simply no longer the case for this party. And because the international community is increasingly turning against the ANC, they know that the only way that they would be able to motivate their impoverished, oppressed, and downright absolutely politically fatigued voter base is by keeping them as uninformed and uneducated as they had been in the past. In the past, ANC leaders could hide their corruption, hide their hate speech against white people, and hide their racially discriminatory policies under the guise of so-called redress or transformation and social justice, but now they are being exposed for the entire world to see for what they really are. And the fact of the matter is that, on the other hand, the ANC simply cannot afford for their ignorant voter base to see just what extent the tide is turning against them and their ideology, while on the other hand, they still try to hide what is actually happening here locally from the international community as a whole. The ANC does not care for 1 single second about the poor citizens of this country. They never have and they never will. The ANC leadership has always viewed the masses as mere disposable pawns to use and dispose for their own personal political gain. And the ANC desperately wants to keep its ignorant voter base ignorant of what is happening around the world. They are trying to keep them reliant upon the SABC for their news and off of YouTube, where alternative media is making immense inroads into the political landscape. They also want to prevent anyone on the other hand with a cell phone from being able to stream the atrocities as they witness them happening in this country. This is a lost cause. However, and Starlink's eventual entry into the South African market will increasingly become inevitable as international pressure mounts on the ANC. But the ANC, being in such dire straits, is simply trying its best to hold on to whatever political power and authority it has left. The fact of the matter is that technology has changed the world irreversibly, but the ANC has failed to strategically adapt in the light of these technological changes. This is why the imminent destruction of the ANC is inevitable in the short term, which is something we highlighted in a recent video. Check out this full research report by clicking on this link appearing on your screen right now, and remember to become a paid member of the Willem Petzer Group. Only with your help are we able to produce videos like this every single morning. Goodbye and God bless.